A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark, chapter 1, verses 29 to 39. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. Directly on leaving the meeting place, they came to Simon and Andrew's house, accompanied by James and John. Simon's mother-in-law was sick in bed, burning up with fever. They told Jesus. He went to her, took her hand, and raised her up. No sooner had the fever left than she was up fixing dinner for them. That evening, after the sun was down, they brought sick and evil afflicted people to him. The whole city lined up at his door. He cured the sick bodies and tormented spirits. Because the demons knew his true identity, he didn't let them say a word. While it was still night, way before dawn, he got up and went out to a secluded spot and prayed. Simon and those with him went looking for him. They found him and said, "Everybody's looking for you." Jesus said, "Let's go to the rest of the villages so I can preach there also. This is why I have come." He went to the meeting places all through Galilee, preaching and throwing out the demons. The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Gospel according to St. Mark, chapter 1, verses 29 to 39. Today's Gospel passage presents Jesus' healing of Peter's mother-in-law and then of many other sick and suffering people who gather around him. The healing of Peter's mother-in-law is the first physical healing recounted by Mark. The woman is in bed with a fever. Father Armellini gives a beautiful explanation for this act of healing performed by Jesus. The Gospel begins by telling us that Jesus went into the house of Peter. He was teaching in the synagogue in Capernaum during the day, and then he walked into the house of Peter. While writing his Gospel as a catechetical material for the people preparing for the sacrament of baptism in Rome, Evangelist Mark intends to tell his listeners about the preaching and healing mission that they too have to carry out. Jesus brings the good news to his people and walks into the house of Peter. Here, the house of Peter is the church. There he finds the woman of the house sick. She is down with a fever that prevents her from getting out of the bed. This woman is an image of each of us, the faithful of the church. At times, we get infected with fevers of our ego and selfishness, and it keeps us bound to the bed, and we refuse to get up and serve our brethren around us. Jesus picks her up by hand, and she is cured. Her immediate response was to get up and serve them. If the church has to carry out the mission of healing, first it has to treat its own fevers that prevent the church from being at the service of one another. When we ourselves are sick, we cannot bring healing to others. First, Jesus brings healing to his own household, the church. By evening, the whole village gathers around the house of Peter, that is the church, and Jesus brings healing to all the sick. The whole world stands in need of healing, and the role and the mission of the church is to carry out the healing mission of Jesus. Taking care of the sick is not an optional activity for the church. And this mission is to bring God's tenderness to a suffering humanity. A successful day at work doesn't stop Jesus from moving on to other places and people. While the whole village was in search of him, Jesus finds time for his personal prayer and demonstrates that we have to move on. People are still going to be in need. How often do we object to transfers from our places of work or mission? We feel that we have a lot more to do there and people are in need of us. But today's gospel demonstrates so clearly that the world doesn't revolve around me or you. We need to move on, bringing the healing and comforting message of Jesus.